Counting. Objective of this lesson to use tree diagrams or the fundamental counting principle to count out outcomes. Let's take a look at this example. A bakery makes 9 types of bagels and has 10 flavors of cream cheese. They wanted to advertise a number of different bagel with cream cheese combinations that are possible. So how many different possible choices are there? So we will solve this in example 1. This is a good example on how to find the answer to this question using what we call the fundamental counting principle, and we'll find out what that is in a minute. Okay, so to solve this problem, it may be helpful to solve a simpler problem. Suppose a bagel bakery offers chicken, tuna, and vegetable sandwiches on their plain or onion bagels. How many possible sandwiches are there? Okay, so basically you can draw a diagram to find the number of possible combinations or outcome. So the number of possible combinations, okay, is also called the number of outcomes. Okay, so let's first talk about the deli item. The deli item will be your chicken, tuna, and vegetable. Okay, and the type of bagels that you will put the chicken on are plain and onion bagels. So if you create this type of a tree diagram using the deli item first, chicken, tuna, and vegetable, and then the type of bagel they'll be using, plain or onion, you have a possible outcome of chicken and plain, chicken and onion bagel, tuna and plain, tuna and onion bagel, vegetable and plain, vegetable and onion bagel. So all you need to do is count the number of outcomes. Okay, there are 6 possible choices or 6 outcomes. This is what we call a tree diagram. Notice that the product of a number of deli items times the number of bagels. There are 3 deli items and 2 types of bagels. Okay, so multiply 3 times 2 will give you 6. Thus, you can find the number of possible outcomes by multiplying this. Multiplying. This is what we call the fundamental counting principle. Okay, where you multiply again. In this case, the number of deli items times the number of bagels. These are basically 2 events. Event number 1 will be the deli items. Event number 2 will be number of bagels. Multiply them gives you 6, or now what we call the fundamental counting principle. So in the fundamental counting principle, it states if event M can occur in M ways and is followed by event N that can occur in N ways, the event M followed by event N can occur times N ways. In this case, event M is our deli items, and event N is the number of bagels there are. Okay, so how do you use the fundamental counting principle? Let's find out. Let's now go back to what we just talked about. How many different bagel and cream cheese combinations can the bagel bakery advertise? How many are possible? Okay, so what do we know? There are 9 types of bagels and 10 flavors of cream cheese. Okay, let's go back to that example right here. Okay, you have 9 types of bagels and has 10 flavors of cream cheese. They wanted to advertise a number of bagel with cream cheese combinations. It's asking how many different possible choices are there. So going back now to that example, we know that there are 9 types of bagels, 10 flavors of cream cheese. So you want to use the fundamental counting principle to be able to solve this problem. And in solving it, you get the number of types of bagel, which is 9, number of flavors of cream cheese, which is 10. Multiply both of them will give you 90 possible outcomes. Okay, and if we examine or check our answer, we can simply create a tree diagram to verify our solution. So that's how you use the fundamental counting principle, a lot simpler than creating a tree diagram. Next example, if you already know the total number of possible outcomes, you can write and solve an equation to find the number of ways the event can occur. Okay, let's take a look at example number 2. In literature class, each student must choose one short story and one poem to read for homework. The students must choose from a list of 16 short stories and 8 poems. There are 304 different combinations of short stories and poems possible. Find the number of poems on the list. So this is just a variation of the fundamental counting principle. If we multiply the 16 short stories and 8 poems, there will be 304 different possible outcomes. So we want to find the number of poems in the list. So what do we do? Okay, we now have 16 times h is equal to 304, and we make an equation out of that. The simple one-step equation. Then we divide both sides by 16. Okay, we end up with a value of h, which is 19. So there are 19, okay, poems on the list. Last example, a die is rolled twice. How many outcomes are possible? Okay, so if you look at this one, there are the number of outcomes for the first roll is 6 because there are 6 sides on a die, and in the second roll there are also 6 possible outcomes because of the 6 sides. Multiply both of them because you roll them twice, end up with 36. So there are 36 possible outcomes. Now, variation of A is B. What is the probability of rolling a 5 and then a 6? Okay, so only one outcome can be a 5 and a 6 out of that. That means the number of favorable outcomes is 1, and the number of possible outcomes is 36. We got 36 from the fundamental counting principle in letter A. Therefore, it'll be 1 out of 6. Okay? Lessons done. Google Forms, type a summary of what you've learned and type a question you might want to ask in class. Thank you.